Hey guys, it's Di and I have a fun video for you guys today. This is just a general question and answer video, and this was actually requested for me to do at the end of February. So I posted up on my Facebook pages and then also mentioned it in a video at the end of February that I was going to be doing this video, and I had you guys post some of your questions that you had. So I'm going to be answering those today, and actually two of the questions that were asked as a part of those questions are some of the most frequently asked questions that I get on this channel. So I'm going to answer those questions today as well. But first of all, I wanted to start kind of trying to go in chronological order, but I have a feeling this is going to be all over the place. But Sydney had a question on YouTube. She asked, when and where did you meet your husband? And I thought that that was kind of a fun question. So we met in college. We both went to the same undergrad university, and I believe it was around my junior year. We had friends. I had a girlfriend and he had a male friend that were dating, so we had friends in common that were boyfriend and girlfriend, and we hadn't met even though they had been dating for a while, up until the point where I finally met him. And one day I happened to go over to visit my girlfriend at her boyfriend's house, and my husband had been out with the guys. Basically they were riding motorcycles, and he came back early to the house, and that was the first time that I met him. So I met him at a mutual friend's house when the mutual friend was like off riding his motorcycle, and we actually ended up sitting outside talking for a few hours, and it was actually like so long, and it was such an in-depth conversation that I didn't realize, like, my girlfriend went inside, like totally left us sitting out there talking in the middle of it, and we were just so into talking to each other that we didn't even realize what was going on around us. So that is how we met. It was totally random, totally by chance. We had a lot of mutual friends, but up until that point we had never met, so it just really worked out. I had just got out of a relationship and wasn't really wanting to date serious or anything like that, so I flat out said, you know what, I'll go out to dinner with you. I will go, like, you know, see movies and we can just have fun, but I am really not interested in a serious relationship. And like over 10 years later, we're married. So that's how that goes. So we met in, I believe it was 2002, I think. And so now it's what, 2014? So we have been together for 12 years. And then we got married in 2005. And I graduated from college in 2004, and there was actually a year there where we had a long distance relationship because I was off running my dance studio, and he graduated a year after me. Even though he's older than me, he was in the Air Force before he went to college, so that's why he's older than me, yet he graduated a year after me. So we did have a year there where we had a long distance relationship, which is super stressful and probably like one of the worst parts of our relationship, but I do think that it does make you stronger. So after we had the long distance relationship, he ended up graduating, and then we were living in the same area, and he proposed, and we got married and had babies and lived happily ever after. So that's how I met my husband. Totally random and by chance. The next question is, before you had kids, did you have a job? And do you plan on going back to work once the girls are older? This question kept coming up over and over. Sydney, who asked about how I met my husband, also asked, when both the girls are in elementary school, do you plan on going back to work, or will you continue to be a stay-at-home mom? So before I had kids, did I have a job? Yes, I went to undergrad college in Illinois, and that's where I met my husband, and I graduated with a degree in marketing and a minor in coaching dance, which is in like the athletic training department. I had been a dancer for about 20 years at this point. I had taught dance for, I don't know, like 7-8 years or something like that at that point. And so being a dance teacher was just very natural at that point in my life. I knew very succinctly how to run a business. I'd learned kind of the framework for how to start up my own business in my undergrad, as a part of my marketing department and all the finance and accounting classes and all those you have to take in the business area. So after I graduated from college, I graduated in May, and basically in June I went and got my first business loan and I opened a dance studio. And looking back, you think, my goodness, that takes some arrogance to just walk out of college and go open a dance studio or go open a business. But I've always really kind of had the entrepreneurial spirit. In fact, I still do. I feel like YouTube's kind of entrepreneurial in a sense. And it's what fit for me. I mean, I went and I interviewed different places while I was really trying to make my final decision. I got offered a few jobs, and I went, you know what? This just doesn't feel right. And an opportunity presented itself to where there was an area that needed a dance studio, and that's what I did, and absolutely no regrets. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. So I opened that dance studio, and then I moved it to a new location because I had married my husband a year later, and I was doing a really long commute from the Chicagoland area, and was with traffic and everything over an hour commute most days, which if you're commuting for a dance studio, you're driving home like at 9:30 at night, so I'm not getting home until 10:30 if it's an hour. And that was very strenuous on me. So I ended up selling the dance studio when my husband got a new job in a new location. Actually, the area we're living in currently right now. The first time we've moved, since then we've moved back. And it was going to be just too far to commute. It was going to be almost 3 hours. And at that point, I put the studio up for sale and I sold it to a new owner. And it turned out very good that I did sell it to a new owner. One, because that commute would have been not something I could have done. But once we moved to this new area in Illinois that was such a long commute away, we were only there for about 6 months before my husband got a promotion, and then we moved over to Michigan. So everything happens for a reason, and so that was what I did right out of college. Is I had the dance studio for a few years. I worked in HR for the 6 months that we were in the location in Illinois that we're at right now, and I had to resign from that job when my husband got a promotion. He got a number of promotions within quick succession, so he's very, very good at what he does. And I'll just go ahead and answer this question right now. He's an engineer. I get asked a lot what he does. He's an engineer, and he's very, very good at what he does. So he got a number of promotions within that time period within quick succession. So after we were in this location in Illinois the first time, we got moved over to Michigan, and we were in Michigan for 6 years. While we were in Michigan, I looked at job opportunities over there. It was a totally different market, and I'd always kind of had in my mind that I wanted to get my master's. So what I actually ended up doing while I was over there was getting my master's of business administration. And while I was doing that, I worked for the university as a graduate research assistant in the marketing department, and that's like a paid position, and you also get your tuition for free and that sort of thing, so that kind of was nice. And so I did that, and I unfortunately blew through my classes. I did it way faster than I should have. Usually to get your master's, it should be at least 2 years. I got my master's in 1.5 years. And I went a lot of semesters that weren't paid graduate assistant semesters. I went in the summers and things like that, thinking that I was going to get done with my master's and go out there and conquer the world. And the market tanked in October of 2008. I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about. The stock market crashed. And we lived in Michigan, right smack dab in the middle of the Detroit suburbs. All of the auto manufacturers are over there. The stock market tanked in October of 2008, and I graduated with my master's in business administration in December of 2008. And so since the timing was so horrible there was literally companies around us, the OEMs, I'm sure everyone remembers the backstory with Ford, GM, and Chrysler, were literally laying off thousands of people a day. Some days it was tens of thousands of people a day. It was a very scary time to live in Michigan, and to have your husband have a job that relied on that industry is a very scary time. You literally would hear about companies that were turning off, they'd have fountains in front of the buildings and things like that. They'd be turning off the fountains and shutting off lights in entire wings of the buildings because they couldn't afford to pay for them. They didn't have copy paper because they couldn't afford to buy it. It was just an absolutely wild experience living over there during that, because there was just this tension in the air that is really hard to explain unless you have been in a situation where you're around a number of companies that are laying off people. Like literally the whole industry in northern Metro Detroit relies on the automotive industry. So it was a very uncertain time, because it was like, if one of these companies goes under, if GM goes under, Chrysler goes under, Ford goes under, it's taking so many other companies with them. This whole area is just done. So luckily it worked out how it did. My husband made it through, you know, and we were very thankful that he kept his job during the whole time period. But the long and short of it for me was I never ended up working, quote unquote, with my master's. I ended up getting a job teaching dance at a local dance studio that I really enjoyed. Actually, two of them for a while, but one of them I enjoyed more than the other. Anyhow, and I started that job in 2009. I got hired, I believe, in June of 2009, and found out in August of 2009 that I was pregnant with Bella. So I taught dance for a year, and I was actually pregnant that whole year. And then after I, you know, was pregnant and had Bella, I had her May 21st, and I went back for a recital in June. And then after that, I basically just became a stay-at-home mom, and that's what I did the rest of the time. So I started my blog, my writing blog, when Bella was a baby, and I remember blogging our first trip to Walt Disney World, and she was about 9 months old then. So I've had my blog since she was about 9 months old. And I just would sporadically upload handbag videos on YouTube, but I didn't really pay much attention to it. And then after we moved over to Illinois, fast forwarding a little bit, so we moved back over to Illinois when I was 7 months pregnant. This is an entirely different video. I'll have to go into that wild story on a different video because it'll be like a 20-minute video itself. But I was 7 months pregnant. My husband got another promotion. We moved back over to Illinois for it. I was 7 months pregnant with Natalie, and just getting settled and all that kind of sparked my interest in YouTube again, and that's when I started making videos more regularly. Okay, so kind of a diversion there, but did I have a job before I had kids? Yes, and it's just been a crazy series of mostly dance-related jobs, and I always find something to do. We'll put it that way. Mama has a question from YouTube. She says, I have a question. How did your husband feel about you? She says blogging every day, but I have a feeling it means vlogging every day. I enjoy watching you and your girls, but will your husband be in some of the vlogs in April? How does my husband feel about vlogging? When I first did the handbag stuff, he really honestly didn't pay attention to it. It was kind of just like, oh, okay. He subscribed to all my channels, but he doesn't watch my videos. I think he was just kind of like, oh, okay, you're getting on there and talking about handbags. He was used to my handbag obsession, we'll put it at that point, because I had been a moderator at a forum at that point that did with handbags, and it was just always kind of a part of my life. I was used to having to hear about it from all the forum stuff and everything, and my best friend in Michigan I met through the handbag stuff and that sort of thing, so he was used to having to hear about it. And then when it turned into more of like the daily life stuff, that was not really like a decision where I sat down and said, you know what, I'm gonna film myself every day and put it on the internet. It just kind of evolved into that. When I initially started this channel, I thought I would do like mom and baby videos and the hauls of the stuff that I got for the girls and pretty much all the stuff that I do. But the day in the lives were really something that I just kind of did randomly, like maybe did once every 3 or 4 months. And then I started finding channels and seeing channels that were doing vlog bunts, and I was like, oh, well, that kind of seems pretty interesting. And so it just kind of randomly started into that. As far as the daily vlogging, I think that he doesn't really quite get why people are interested. Like, he doesn't, and grocery hauls, really weird amount too. He's like, they want to see what? But it's more like he doesn't understand it because it doesn't interest him to sit down and watch it. But I tried to explain to him, like, there's, you know, it's mainly females that are interested in this sort of thing. You're not gonna get it. He doesn't care to be in the videos, but he is a much more private person than I am, obviously. Obviously, I'm, you know, a little bit more open book. But then a lot of the times he's just plain not home when I'm filming. When I'm filming during the day, he's at work all day long. I try not to film dinner time on purpose just because I feel like that's family time, that's talking time, and honestly a lot of times when I'm getting dinner on the table and that sort of thing, I'm just busy, so I don't have time to film. So it's not purposely omitting him out of the videos, it's really just the nature of when I'm filming, he's generally not home. The next question, will you see him more in April? Probably, because we have some events coming up where he's going to be part of the mix and probably going to be part of the videos. But primarily, as far as me filming, I tend to focus on myself, and then the girls are kind of like the two little orbits that are always with me. So hopefully that answers that question. Stacy asks, would you ever consider opening up a new dance studio, or have you found a new passion in making videos? And I don't know, this one's a tough one for me because I really honestly feel like I've gotten so far away from that person that was that dancer for so long and that ran the dance studios and everything. I feel like it doesn't fit me anymore. I would love to be involved in dance some way in the future, and I don't want to say never, because I could turn around and 5-10 years from now decide to open a dance studio, but especially right now with the kids being so little, I don't feel like it would be the right time to have anything like that. I always really wanted to work in some sort of capacity with dance stuff, but was always kind of told by my family that was not an acceptable career. And then, haha, all the jobs that I had after I got all my degrees were always dance related. So I think that my parents are probably just sitting there shaking their heads and doing this. But I don't know. I mean, as far as the dance studio stuff, I don't want to say never. I don't feel like it's a good fit for me right now, just because of the types of hours, and they can be quite long hours that go into it. And yes, I do really enjoy videos. Making videos is really, really fun for me. I think it's very, very interesting how you can kind of create this whole brand online, even if this brand is just literally a camera following you around every day and, you know, just living your normal life. I'm just totally amazed that that exists. It's an amazing thing what YouTube is, and it really intrigues me. So this is definitely my passion right now, and I'm hoping to continue it for quite some time. I do really enjoy it. Alright, this video is getting quite long, so I may have to split it into a couple different parts, or start saving back some of these questions for another question and answer video. But I will go ahead and answer the most asked question that I get asked on all my videos, old videos, new videos, people just finding me, people that have watched me for a while, always ask this question, and at least 4 or 5 people asked this. So Megan asked, and also Melanie asked on Facebook, are there any plans for more children? And the answer is, I don't know. I feel like I would be happy with a third, and I think a third would be kind of, that's enough for me, if that's a good way to say it. I don't know. I feel like 3 is where I would probably be content to stop. A couple of things I've seen, I have a number of friends that had 2 kids and then surprise got pregnant with twins, so I know the longer and longer we wait, I think that would like totally freak me out if that happened. But then as far as my husband's opinion on it, I think that he's really up in the air on it. You know, having another baby means another set of expenses when they're little, another set of college expenses when they're bigger, because in our family we you know, help them out with that. So it's a commitment for a long time, as all of you know, and for him, I really feel like he's older than me, and he may be starting to get to the point where he's fine with just 2 of them, and I don't know how I feel about that. I'm really up in the air, because I feel like I could have a third, but I think I'd be okay if I didn't. And the other thing I will say is, just in my own personal opinion, you have to do what's right for you, but a closer age gap is definitely not for me. So what we talked about doing is, I think 5 years is now honestly the gap that I think would be ideal at this point. So I'm not even worried about it until Natalie is closer to 4 or 5. It's not even really a consideration on the table, because I think the girls are 18 months apart. That's like insanely close. Even 2-3 years apart, I feel like now, after having toddlers, too close. 4 to 5 years I think would be like the optimal gap for me, and I realized that then it would be kind of weird, like if you have 2 kids close together and then one kind of off doing their own thing. But for me, I kind of almost like that idea, so we'll see at that point whether my husband is into it and whether it seems like the right thing to do at that time. But I don't know. We're going to have to make that final decision when Natalie's closer to 4 or 5. And then whatever decision we make then will be it. So no plans, like we're not like starting to try to conceive like next week or anything. No. There's a lot of other good questions. So I think what I'm going to do now is split this into a couple different videos, because I already know that this one's inching in on close to 25 minutes long, which is really, really long for a question and answer video. So I'm going to leave it like that. There are some other really good questions on here as far as like what the girls are into. It's been asked for me to do a pregnancy and birth story for the girls. Those would be totally separate videos. Family questions. So I think what I'm going to do is just stop this one right here, and then some of these other ones I'll put in a different video. And also someone requested pregnancy and birth stories. If you guys would like to see that, let me know. Natalie's pregnancy and birth story and everything is wild. So I think the whole reason why I haven't shared them is I don't want to like scare anyone out of their minds when they watch them. But obviously they have happy endings because you see them running around. So, but I think that's the whole reason I haven't posted them, is because I had some pretty crazy, like, Bella's whole pregnancy was fine, and then I had a failed induction with her, and then Natalie's pregnancy was fine up to a point, and then things just started going crazy. So I'll share that in a separate video if you guys want. So that is all. Hopefully you guys enjoyed learning a little bit more about me, and it seemed like a lot of people were curious to find out more about my husband in this one. So hopefully you guys will see him in some vlogs in April, and we will be probably day in the lifing later on next week, and having some more March videos coming up, and then we'll just be getting ready for Veda vlogging every day in April. And it's going to be a little bit different this year because I'm going to do like a mini travel series just talking about like prepping for Disney, things that I'm thinking about getting for the trip, and all those sorts of things, and also what our plans are while we're there and all that sort of things. So I'm going to have that as a part of Veda this year, and it should be fun. So if you guys enjoyed this question and answer, let me know if you guys have any more questions down below for the next question and answer video. So if you guys enjoyed this video, thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.